All right, everybody, let's go ahead and do the second rant before I call it a day. Before I do a recap of these football games, let's talk about how the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Heat are doing in the preseason of the NBA. The Rockets are undefeated in the preseason, 2-0. They beat the Spurs 134-96, and they recently beat the Raptors on Friday 116-100. The Heat are 2-1 in the preseason. They lost to the Timberwolves 121-111. They beat the Nets 109-80. And they recently beat the Grizzlies 111-108. The Lakers are 1-3. They lost to the Kings 105-75. To the Suns 119-115. And they lost to the Timberwolves 114-99. And they just beat the Warriors, the defending NBA champs, last night, 124-121. All three teams have 2 preseason games left each. The Rockets and the Heat go at it tomorrow, before the Heat take on the Pelicans on Wednesday, and before the Rockets go against the Pacers on Friday. The Lakers will take on the T-Wolves Wednesday, and they will go against the Kings on Friday, before their opening season next Tuesday against the defending NBA champs, the Warriors. The Heat's homecoming game begins next Wednesday, taking on the Chicago Bulls. And the Rockets' opening season begins next Wednesday against the Atlanta Hawks. And this will be in my other playlist of the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat, because the NBA season is like 8 days away. Lakers season starts on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And the Heat and the Rockets opening season starts next Wednesday. Game 1 of the American League Division Series between the Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros begins tomorrow. It's going to be boring as hell to listen to the other commentators of these Astros games, because I'm already missing Todd Kellis, Julia Morales, and Jeff Blummer. Well, we won't hear them again on these Astros games until next season. In the meantime, let's go ahead and do a recap of this past Saturday's college football game between the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners. Woo! The Longhorns killed this whole game. I'm not kidding. They outscored the Sooners by a touchdown in the first quarter. Then they outscored them by 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. So it's Longhorns 28, Sooners nothing at halftime. Longhorns scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. It's Longhorns 42, Sooners nothing after 3. And the Longhorns scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter as they shut down the Oklahoma Sooners 49-0. They are now 4-2 as the Sooners fall 3-3. That's the same record that the Longhorns had when they lost to the Sooners last year. Last year, the Sooners beat the Longhorns 55-48. Now this year, the Longhorns got back at the Sooners 49-0. This Saturday, the Longhorns take on the Iowa State Cyclones. Let's see. The 22nd They go against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. November 5th against the Kansas State Wildcats. November 12th taking on the Texas Christian University Horned Frogs. November 19th against the Kansas City Jayhawks. And Thanksgiving Day taking on the Baylor Bears. I thought they faced them on Black Friday. It says the 25th. The 25th is Thanksgiving. I'm assuming they're going to face the Baylor Bears on Thanksgiving instead of Black Friday. But we'll see. They probably changed the dates because it says they face them on the 26th, which is Black Friday. Now they're saying they're facing them on Thanksgiving. I didn't get to watch this game because I was working overtime as usual. I didn't get home until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I do want to congratulate the Longhorns for getting revenge on the Sooners. Payback from last year when they lost to the Sooners. So the Longhorns are now on a 2-game winning streak. Let's see if they can be on a 3-game winning streak by Saturday. That was a good game, though. Longhorns got back at the Sooners. Now, let's get to a recap of another football game. Be right back. You're probably wondering, why am I wearing my Texans hat? Does this mean that the Texans have finally won a game after so long, after 3 weeks of struggling? You're about to find out. But first, in the good words of my man Spitz 389. What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sports topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Houston Texans football. We're going to do a recap of yesterday's NFL game between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to find out if the Texans finally won a game or did they fall to the Jaguars. We're going to get our special guest on here. All right, here we go. I got my special guest. So now, let's go ahead and do a recap of this game. The Longhorns, no, not the Longhorns, the Texans and the Jaguars. As usual, the Texans do not score shit in the first quarter. They only gave up a field goal. But they made a comeback in the second quarter, outscoring the Jaguars by 2 field goals, 6-3. So the score was tied at 6 at halftime. Neither teams didn't score shit in the third quarter, and the score was still tied at 6 after 3. Just when you thought they was going to tie the game and take it to overtime, after 3 weeks of not scoring in the fourth quarter, the Texans finally scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter as they shut down the Jacksonville Jaguars by 7, 13-6. The Texans finally have a win. They have 3 losses and 1 tie as the Jaguars fall 2-3. So now the Texans get to enjoy their 1-week vacation as they head to Viva Las Vegas on the 23rd against the Raiders. The 30th, the day before Halloween, taking on the Titans. Then they got their Thursday night football game that same week, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. They got the 6th off Then they'll go up against the Giants in New York on the 13th. November 20th, 5 days before Thanksgiving, taking on the Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins. The 27th against the Dolphins in Miami. December 4th, taking on Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, if Deshaun Watson is eligible to play. The 11th against the Cowboys. The 18th, taking on the Chiefs. Christmas Eve against the Titans. New Year's Day, a rematch taking on the Jaguars. And January 8th, a rematch against the Colts. Before we get our 2 cents on this game, let's do a recap of them Cowboys against the defending and the Super Bowl champs, the LA Rams. Cowboys outscored the Rams by 3 field goals in the first quarter, 9-3. Both teams scored a touchdown in the second quarter. So it was Cowboys 16, Rams 10 at halftime. The Cowboys dominated the second half, outscoring the Rams by a field goal in the third quarter. So it was Cowboys 19, Rams 10 after 3. The Cowboys once again kicked another field goal in the fourth quarter as they shut down the defending Super Bowl champs 22-10. The Cowboys are now 4-1 as the Rams fall 2-3 as well. This Sunday, the Cowboys go against the Eagles in Philly. The 23rd, they take on the Detroit Lions. October 30th, the day before Halloween, they take on my dad's favorite team that beat the Texans on my mom's birthday, the Chicago Bears. The 13th against the Green Bay Packers. November 20th against the Minnesota Vikings. November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving, taking on the Giants. December 4th, taking on the Colts. December 11th, taking on our Texans. The 18th against the Jaguars. Christmas Eve, taking on the Eagles. My granny's birthday, December 29th, against the Titans. And January 8th against the Washington Commanders. What the hell took the Texans so long to finally win a game? If they did not choke that 17-point lead against the Colts, they would have won their first game of the season. Let's see. They was doing terrible against the Broncos, but I give the Broncos credit. And Sierra's husband, Russell Wilson, now plays for the Broncos. Let's see. They would have beaten the Bears on my mom's birthday, but David Mills had to force that interception in the fourth quarter. As for their game against the Chargers, they dominated in the second half, but it was not enough as they fall to the Chargers by 10, 34-24. And just when we thought they were going to take the game to overtime yesterday, the Texans finally scored in the fourth quarter and they beat the Jaguars. I kind of knew they was going to beat the Jaguars because every time these two go against each other, the Texans always win. And they are AFC South Division rivals. We should be 3-1 at this point instead of 1-3-1. Mikey, go ahead.
I had to agree. We should have gone 3-1, beat the Colts in the season opener, beat the Broncos in Mile High City, Denver, beat the Bears in the Windy City, and then we lose the Chargers at home. And now, just you thought the Jaguars and now they can enjoy their vacation as they're set to take on the Raiders in Las Vegas. First trip in Las Vegas for the Texans ever since the Raiders became the LA, then the Oakland, and now Las Vegas. Hopefully the Texans don't spend too much playing casino or whatever.
They just got to focus. So we will be back the week after the Texans versus Raiders game because they got a week off. So I'm still waiting for Spitz 389's video. A link to his page will be in the description box below, as well as Mikey's, Alexa and Maria's, and Maria and Olivia's. And I already talked about the Rockets, the Heat, and the Lakers on how they're doing in the preseason. And the Longhorns shutting down the Sooners 49-0. Oh yeah, I'm going to do a review on that soon, as well as the new flavor, the salted chocolate brownie. I'm definitely going to do a review on those two soon. But that wraps up my thoughts about this past Saturday's college football game between the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners, and yesterday's victory for the Texans against the Jaguars. If you're new here, hit subscribe and hit that notification bell for my next Longhorns and Texans rant, as well as my Rockets, Lakers, and Heat. And Game 1 of the American League Division Series between the Mariners and the Astros starts tomorrow.
At 2:37.
Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave your comment down below. I will catch you tomorrow, reminiscing 21 years of Linda McMahon firing William Regal as the WWF Commissioner from the October 11th, 2001 edition of SmackDown. Don't follow your dreams, chase them. Peace. Go Texas Longhorns, hook 'em, and as always, go Houston Texans.